Hello everybody.
Hello.
So we are here for a very special episode, and this is a 101 on dark shadows. No, not that one. Not that one. No, although that one's amazing. Not that one either.
Okay, which one?
I'm talking, holy mackerel, about this guy right here. The original series of Dark Shadows.
Wow, that is a big set.
This thing is so heavy, by the way.
How many
So
episodes of that show are there?
I don't even know, like, way.
So how do people know this one the best?
Don't ask me. Oh my god, it's so heavy. Okay.
Wow.
So, we're talking about the original Dark Shadows today.
Yes, her cousin from England.
From England? Oh, please, come in.
I'd be delighted, thank you.
Oh, would you like to wait in the drawing room?
Here would be fine, thank you.
Oh, well, I'll let Mrs. Starr know you're here.
Oh, madam, if you would, you may tell her that it's Barnabas Collins.
Is that why you're dressed like Caroline Collins?
Caroline Collins, if you guys know. I don't think any of you know anything about this, I don't know.
What is this stuff we're talking about?
So,
what is this Nicholas Blair mustache?
Yeah, it's Nicholas Blair. So, Dark Shadows is a TV show, actually more of a soap opera.
It was a daytime soap opera.
It was a daytime soap opera.
In the 90s, it was a nighttime
Yeah,
soap
right.
Which is how I discovered it, the 90s version.
Right, and me too, because you discovered it. So, it was a soap opera back in the day. I have friends who tell me stories of how they used to come home from school and watch it. It was in the afternoon. And even our mom used to come home from work, and when she was a very young teacher, and she would come home from work and watch it as well.
Well, this was what time frame was
1960s to early 70s. So the TV show, just to give you a little synopsis, it starts out with a girl named Victoria Winters, and she is an orphan. She works at an orphanage. She used to be in the orphanage, but now she works there. And she takes a job as a governess, yeah. So she takes a job as a governess in this house called Collinwood. And it is in the town of Collinsport, Maine.
It's a mansion. It's like
I'm finding this very odd to explain, yeah, because I've never had
have you seen this movie right here?
Mr. Johnny Depp.
Okay, that's the part they got right. It was that this young girl comes into town and she doesn't have really in the original she doesn't really remember her past, like pre-orphanage, but so it's kind of a mystery to her, and she's been brought to this mansion in a place called Collinsport, Maine.
Right. And
it's the Collins family mansion, the family that the town is named after. And she's there to be the governess for the little boy that lives there.
His name's David.
His name's David, and he's just kind of a nightmare kid.
Yeah.
Right? More so in the 90s version. He's a troubled kid because of the parents have issues.
He's troubled.
It's really because the parents have issues.
But also, you'll find out later when they start to bring paranormal things in that the mother is... Anyway, so yeah, the parents do have issues. But
you were hinting at something there.
Yes.
See, when this show started out, it was a regular soap opera.
Right.
Rich people having rich people problems.
Yes.
And then this poor innocent orphan girl who's brought into it, and she's just like, this is a new world for her.
Now, and it was like problems. It was like a drama series, kind of.
It was a soap opera, daytime soap opera.
And while it did have some interesting aspects to it, like I mean, it was really, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the beginning episode.
Did they hint at the paranormal at the very beginning? I know that it's something that they brought in later.
They said that it was like haunted. But
yeah, like a ghost, David's mother maybe or something.
It was.
Oh no, it was the ghost of Josette. They did talk about her, didn't they, at the beginning?
I think so.
Okay.
They may have.
So
we just started
a house that was
everything.
maybe haunted, but at the same time was probably just the kid's imagination or something.
All my Dark Shadows friends are watching this right now. They're like, "What is wrong with you?"
We've never had to tell this story to anybody.
This is weird.
But anyway,
Sorry, guys.
so anyway, the ratings like maybe weren't doing so good, right? And they had to like save the show, so they came up with the idea of a family member showing up named Barnabas Collins, who was actually a vampire from the 1700s.
Yeah, so this marked the one of the early mainstream television paranormal type shows. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it just made everything huge in the paranormal around that time, even though it was kind of,
I mean, that's always been the thing, but
yeah.
And so this guy shows up. His name is Barnabas Collins, and he says he's the cousin from England, but really he was a vampire buried in, right out in the cemetery right nearby, on the same property there, and he was awoken by the servant of the family. Well, actually, he wasn't the servant of the family on the old show. I get a little mixed up with the 90s show because we love the 90s show.
Right, the 90s series is also amazing.
And that's how I got started. To me, the 90s series, I mean, it was like the old show, it's like the perfected version.
Yes, I agree.
And that's why with the new movie, the Johnny Depp movie, it's like I can watch that movie and laugh a little.
Yeah.
But the only thing it has in common with classic original Dark Shadows, or even the 90s one, are just characters' names.
Right.
Not even the way they act or anything. It's just their names. It's just the names of the town.
It's so different.
And the title. They didn't even use the classic theme music.
I know.
So that's like all that the new movie has in common.
I did,
it's really
like I thought the movie was going to be promising too, because it starts off so good with this music night.
Where she's coming in on the train, which you always begin with Victoria coming in on the train ride.
Although it does start off with the whole history of Barnabas, and it's not that great, and you're kind of like, ugh.
That wasn't accurate either.
But then it starts off with Victoria coming down in the train, and that's a very classic thing with Dark Shadows. She comes in on a train and she says, "My name is Victoria Winter." It's amazing.
You have that in every version. There was almost a 2000s version.
Yeah.
With an actress I absolutely adore. I cannot remember her name right now because I'm trying to remember. But they didn't actually pick up the pilot. It was really sad. But yeah, so Barnabas Collins shows up, and we don't get any backstory on him yet, but later on we do, because there's time travel on the show. There's everything on that show.
I mean, we won't get into details, but tons of paranormal things in the show. You've got werewolves, you've got witches,
Frankenstein's monster,
time travel towards the end of it, parallel universes.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an amazing show, and while it's
a lot of reincarnated characters, because they would use the same
ghosts, of course,
to play their the past, their ancestors.
It was like an acting troupe, just doing different roles and whatnot, and it's just so much fun to watch. Also because it was the way they filmed it. They didn't necessarily go back and do second takes of things. They would just go straight on through, and people would miss lines and stuff, and it's kind of a hokey thing, but at the same time we love it so much because of our backstory with it, which if you want to start giving your backstory about it, I mean, it's just the fact that
I'll give just a little bit more synopsis to say that at the heart of it, it's a show about a guy who is a vampire, because Barnabas took over as the lead of that show, right? And because even Victoria didn't even stay on all the way through. Right. But he starts out as a villain, but he becomes a sympathetic character very quickly.
He becomes like a superhero. By
the end, he's the hero of the show. And they add a character who at first is a ghost, but he ends up being a werewolf, and he becomes like the other hero. They're like the two heroes of the show.
And Doc Hoffman, which is like her partner.
She's like his partner in crime. She's totally the Watson to Barnabas.
Absolutely.
But
and then, we can't forget about Angelique.
That's what I was about to say. That your main baddie throughout the whole show is the cause of most of the problems.
Angelique, who is a witch.
A witch from the 1700s.
Barnabas' time, yeah. So you got a lot of great material here. I mean, it's just it's amazing.
And she's totally in love with Barnabas, and that's her driving force, throughout the show. And he's like, no.
Yeah. That's debatable.
Not all the time. I don't want to, and I don't want to get into spoilers.
Anyway, but so your backstory with Dark Shadows. Let's just give a quick.
I was I in junior high maybe, and or I was already in high school, but I just newly in high school, and they started that '90s show, and I just totally loved it because I'm like big on werewolves and vampires and things like that.
Right.
And I didn't know about the show before that. I had seen like one little paragraph of it with like I think a picture of Angelique, and I saw this in an encyclopedia at the public library.
What?
And it was an encyclopedia of television shows.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I was just at the public library because we used to go to the public library a lot.
We loved our public library. It was amazing.
Yeah, and I would just go up there and go through things like that, the entertainment encyclopedias and history and stuff.
Yeah.
And and I had no idea what it was. It just was fascinating. A soap opera about like witches and vampires. It was described something like that.
Awesome.
And the picture of, I think it was a picture of Angelique, and it was really creepy looking. And it I was fascinated by this. But I got into the '90s show, and I just loved it. And it only lasted one season, and that was devastating.
It was devastating.
And it was such a cliffhanger when it ended.
I will tell you I can't tell you how many times we have put that series on, and then every time we're just like, our heart is just pulled away from us because it ends. Because it's a cliffhanger.
This is the
first season.
90s version.
It's so sad.
I think they've changed the packaging more recently, but...
Yes?
Good evening. Is Mrs. Collins at home?
Who may I say is calling?
You may tell her it is her cousin, Barnabas Collins from England.
From England? Yes, sir. Please, come in. They're having dinner. I'll tell them you're here.
Thank you.
Barnabas Collins from England. Welcome to Collinwood.
Thank you, dear cousin. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, amazing show. Even though it's one season, it's worth getting.
It really is.
And it's usually really cheap to get to.
Yeah.
Or it's on some services, or it has been.
But then, we started watching the old show because it came on Sci-Fi.
Well,
right?
no, wait a minute. Now we're skipping a major thing. Okay, so I was so in the '90s show, and you were so into it, and we found out about something called the Dark Shadows Society, I guess.
Yeah. Well, let me just give, before you go on there, let me just give my little thing about it. So, I was into it because you were into it. Because you got into it and you started watching it, and so the whole family, it was like a big family thing. We all sat down and watched Dark Shadows, the '90s series. And just like, I guess back in the 60s, everybody was watching it like that, kind of. So, yeah, and then we found out about the library.
We found out about this library thing.
Yeah.
So it was sort of a club that was forming locally.
Mind you, I'm like 5 years old at this time. 5.
So, and maybe we rented some of the original show because maybe it was that was probably during this time. So we went to the public library for a meeting of this club just to see what it was about. And I think it was the first day of the meeting. And I guess I took you to the very first one.
You must have. I remember going several times.
Our older sister, I think, was going.
She went a couple of times. Yeah.
A couple of times maybe. And so yeah, it was like we found out about this huge fan base, and we found out about the classic show.
Right.
We went to this like thing, and they had it in a room in the library on like the first floor, and it was a nice big like room for like giving talks and things, and with a podium and everything.
Which, by the way, our old public library looked like it was straight out of the 60s.
It was straight out.
So I mean, it was very appropriate.
Yeah, and at these meetings, which we only went to a few because they didn't. I don't think they kept going for too long, but we went to a few and. They had a TV, you know, and they would show episodes of the original show.
Yeah, and we would all just sit around and watch it on TV.
And and so that was our exposure to the original show. And they showed us, they explained to us how this is a thing across the country, huge fan base for this show. They showed us fanzines, which are like magazines made by the fans, and they kind of wanted to start their own, I guess. I did a couple of comic strips for them before at least one.
Wow.
Maybe just one. Before the whole thing
That's awesome. I didn't realize that. You're gonna have a good conversation.
I don't have a lot of memories of it, but I know I did a little comic.
So I'll
mention that to him.
We found out later. And by the way, I don't think that we've mentioned it, but the whole reason we're giving you this Dark Shadows 101 is because we are going to be taking I'm going to be taking my annual trip to Collinwood, which is the original house that Dark Shadows used as its Collinwood house. You know, it's called Seaview Terrace and the Carey Mansion, but that is the house.
Those are the real names.
Yeah, I'll go into details about how all this happened in a minute, but
when you went to one of these,
Nathan's coming along with me this year for a few days. But when I went to this the first time, and I don't remember if I met him there or at the convention.
They have conventions for this. Now they were having conventions every year for Dark Shadows.
Yeah, and we never went. And it was just really frustrating.
And then you finally took Mom to one.
To the 50th, yeah.
And this is way over in like New England.
Yeah, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying real quickly that they have these conventions. They didn't have it last year, right?
No, they haven't been having it. We're not sure if they're going to have it anymore.
Possibly because the fan base is not as young, you know, nowadays.
I'm not sure. Yeah, the actors definitely want to have it though. So I met Joe, who ran the library.
The Dark Shadows meetings that we used to go to.
Which is amazing.
So that was crazy. Yeah.
It was so cool. And Joe is an awesome person, and it's just like this weird thing that happened that we ran into, or I ran into him again. So now you're gonna meet him, and it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah.
So hi, Joe.
Crazy story. Hello.
Yeah.
We had a couple of those meetings. 2 or 3, and then they moved them to the second floor to a smaller room.
Yeah.
And then I guess it was just not enough people going because
Joe gave me the whole history on what happened at some point, but I don't quite remember exactly what he said. But
But we rented a few tapes of the original show. I don't remember honestly, I don't remember if that was a little bit before the actual meetings happened. So we might have discovered them a little bit before.
But then
they started showing it on Sci-Fi Network. Now, we never had Sci-Fi Network in the town we grew up in.
Right.
And they got it really late. And so we got it just in time for the last run. They were rerunning the original show.
Yeah.
So we saw a little bit of it, and then they started over, and we saw the final full run from beginning to end. Right. And it was amazing.
It was just awesome.
It would be on early in the morning.
We just watch it all the time, and it would be on at night too.
We would tape it in the morning. No, we would tape it in the morning.
Oh, is that what happened?
And then we'd watch the tapes, the whole family.
That's what it was. I remember that.
We'd watch the tapes in the evening.
I do remember that now. So, fast forward to, we're just constantly loving Dark Shadows. Fast forward to maybe 5 years ago, I guess, for the 50th. I don't know. But I had been wanting to go to the Dark Shadows convention, and I don't usually go to conventions. I don't usually like them at all, but I thought this one would be really fun because it was taking place over in Tarrytown, which
Sleepy
is
Hollow.
right, which is where Lyndhurst is, the mansion from the films. The Dark Shadows films. I mean, they did films,
Yeah,
they did everything.
I forgot to pull those out, but yeah, those are on Blu-ray.
So it was a really cool trip, and we'll show you pictures and some other. I don't think I have footage, but we'll show you some pictures from that and everything. And
that was the convention. They used to do every year.
That was the convention. I got to perform with Carolyn.
And I'm so jealous for not going to this convention. That was so stupid of me. I was probably working or something, but
yeah, I think you were, and I wanted you to go really bad, but yeah, I got to perform on stage with the Dark Shadows troupe.
The original Carolyn Collins.
The Collins.
So awesome, yeah.
Yeah. So it was amazing. It was just like this kind of circumstance that just happened. They needed somebody that day. They had already had this little skit prepared, and they needed somebody who didn't show up. So I ended up filling in because I had my costume with me. I was going to take pictures at the historic hotel that we had, and anyway, I ended up being in that play, and it was Nancy Barrett, and it was amazing, and she was the sweetest, such a cool person. And there I met my friend Bob. And some other Dark Shadows friends, and we all got along really well, and with Mom too. Like we were just all hanging out, and Bob invited us out to Collinwood. And I believe I actually went that same year.
Wow.
So in Collinwood, it's a private group, and
like a private party, annual party thing.
Yeah, and we get to experience staying the night there. It's for a week basically.
And it runs through Halloween.
And it runs through Halloween. They have 2 Halloween parties usually, and so it's a really cool experience. I won't get into details that much because I'm not sure, how much I should say, but it's really, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And the people there are amazing. They love Dark Shadows so much, and they love the house. The house is beautiful and gorgeous, and so you're super excited to go.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not going to stay there the whole time. I'm not sure if you're even staying till Halloween, are you?
No, we're actually going to be. I'm going to be leaving a little bit before Halloween to go see Mom, and you might also. So for Halloween, but yeah, it's just an amazing experience. It's in Newport, Rhode Island, and I've fallen in love with that town. I want to go back there and live there possibly at some point.
So we are going to be doing a Moonlight Travels video.
If
everything goes according to plan. Mm-hmm. Showing that house, and basically this was the house used for the exterior shots and the inspiration of the interior.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the original 1960s version.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I guess there's some interesting stuff around that area.
Well, yeah, there's the cliff walk, and they actually have the blue whale, the
the tavern from the original show.
The exterior shot of that.
And it's not actually called the Blue Whale in real life.
No, it's called the Black Pearl.
The Black Pearl, okay.
Great clam chowder. I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a beautiful area. You've got all of the leaves, and it's amazing. It's my happy place. So I'm really excited to go. And we've got some really cool things that we're going to be doing this year. So yeah.
I didn't mention I was so into the 90s version that I was wearing turtlenecks all through high school, and it was
Is that why? That's amazing.
Because in the 90s version, Barnabas wore turtlenecks all the time.
That is so awesome.
And where we lived, it was like, it was terrible. Because where we lived, it was like 100 degrees year round.
You were so goth, weren't you?
I wore black trench coat all the time. This was before like black trench coats were associated with like shootings and things. But like I wore black trench coats. I wore turtlenecks.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
But yeah,
well,
and I wasn't
obviously,
goth.
I mean, I'm so into the show and other 60s
I was an art
shows that
student. I wasn't goth. It was really.
It was part of my fashion too. So I mean, I wore this all the time, not just for costumes. So, but yeah, so I love my friends there. They're amazing, and it's just an incredible experience. And yeah, it's like an annual thing. So
yeah, so we're gonna be taking you guys there, hopefully.
Yeah, and I'm gonna show you.
In a future episode.
We're gonna insert some footage of the past trips. I did a trip last year, and I did a little footage of that, and some pictures from the convention and stuff. We'll put that in there as well, so you can see it. But if you guys are interested in checking out Dark Shadows, just it's on Netflix, I believe.
Hulu.
It's on Hulu right now.
The original.
And Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, I mean, it's all.
Now that changes every day, all that stuff.
Yeah, so.
And I don't know, is it the complete show on there?
I think so, actually.
Oh, wow.
Right now, it's not usually like that.
And they used to have the 90s show. They might still have it. I don't know.
Netflix does. I know that.
Netflix,
so,
really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I've seen all that stuff on Hulu. I haven't seen it anywhere.
Please don't base Dark Shadows on the Johnny Depp
movie. We love Johnny Depp, and we love Tim Burton most of the time.
We were just so excited when they were coming out with this.
And they sounded like good people to use.
Yeah.
And then it's like they just didn't really want to make what they should have made.
What we wanted.
But what we wanted, yeah, I guess. But I still, it's good for a laugh. It's, shouldn't have been a comedy, but it's got a lot of failed jokes too. But anyway, this is not a review of the Dark Shadows movie.
No, it's not.
But I would love to make a really good Dark Shadows movie. If somebody wants to give
incredible.
me a huge budget, like a real Dark Shadows movie, like the 90s show with a mega budget.
Yes, that would be awesome.
And Quentin Collins would come out also.
Oh yeah,
the werewolf.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, and this year I'm going to be, usually one of our friends, Greg, does the haunted basement, which is amazing. He does it so incredibly this year. And, or usually. Last year we had to put it together last minute because he wasn't able to make it. And this year he's not able to make it either. But we're going to go ahead and put that on. And it should be interesting. It was pretty fun last year. So.
And I'm going to be there more briefly than you. I don't know what I'm going to see, but give me real fast for me.
But it'll be cool. It's just a wonderful experience. So yeah, we'll show you guys footage.
Right here.
Yeah.
Newport, Rhode Island. Beautiful little area. So beautiful. Oh my gosh, look at these. Wow. This cemetery is very old, as you can imagine. We've got 1830s, 1700s. Haven't seen 1600s, but I bet it's here.
Sit down. I think you're the one that ought to sit down.
Oh, you're funny. Do you know that? You're a very funny girl. You're also a very sad girl.
What do you want?
I want you to know what you did to her. That's what I want.
Me?
Joe, now you listen
No,
to me.
you listen to me. Carolyn, you know when you're going to get married? Never. Now, it isn't me. It isn't anybody. It's you. All of a Old spinster you, sitting in your dungeon, keeping your mother company.
I insist that you leave.
I will. But not till I said what I came to say.
Mrs. Sullivan, I think I ought to go.
Oh, no, Miss Prince, you stay. You
Hey guys, it's finally stopped raining at Collinwood. So I'm finally walking out of the house and it's just gorgeous. It's been days I haven't been out here yet. So I'm super happy to finally look at that view. Isn't it beautiful? I've been enjoying my morning here. Actually, I was finishing my costume. I added a little bit extra stuff to it, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, let's check out the cliffs and the rocks and the ocean over here. It's right by the house, so I'll get a better view of the house for you in a second. Ooh, okay, sorry. Let's take a walk. This is the cliff walk in Newport, and it's right in front of the house. And it goes on for quite a while. You just keep walking and keep walking. Oh, look, there's surfers. That's crazy. Widow's Hill. Look at these guys. So many surfers. Last time I was here, it might have been too cold for surfers.